Philip, can you just give us an idea of the sort of the size and scope of your operation here?
Yeah, sure. Well, here at Jandra it's 40,000 hectares, 100,000 acres, the old language. And as with our other two properties, Turton and Wopwheeler, it's roughly the country's a 50-50 combination of black soils and red soils. Where we are at here now is pretty much the start of the red soil.
So you've got 3 properties under your management?
Yes, yeah, Dino own here, and which I inherited from my mother's family, as I said, the Robertsons, and we bought in recent times Wopwheeler, Eppengonia, and then last year Nulty across the river from southwest, across the river from here.
Philip, your family's been here for generations. How have you maintained the management of your land?
Yeah, well, I think it's certainly an advantage to have lived here and have your forebears' words ringing in your ear occasionally, because it does take a while to know how to. It's delicate country in some ways and very resilient in others, but it does take a while to get a balance, and strike a balance in how to operate it and experience. So I have lived here all my life, and as I say, just on statistics, or you can look at old ledgers and see what they ran. But things are changing a lot in 2 ways. One is the last 50 years we've had the encroachment of this woody weed, butterbush, hopbush. So there's that, and the other thing that's improved it really, countered that to a certain extent, is with polypipe and electric pumps. We're much more water, so you can sort of spread your stock around the paddock better. But you have to keep an eye on it, and I mean, as I say, it's only through experience and perhaps good fortune that you strike that balance. I mean, some people probably don't ever really achieve it, and others it's second nature. Because it's certainly country, as I said earlier, you could double your stocking numbers at times and hardly notice it, but it will come against you one day, and that's the trap you're not to be lured into. It's a temptation to go for it when it looks good, but it'll come against you.
Tell me, how has the management of your land changed over the generations? Has it changed much? Is there new technologies that...
Oh yeah, certainly new. Well, machinery for a start, really. My family were here when the horse and buggy was the go, but I think the biggest change has really been with labour. I mean, many helpers at 1880 when my forebears came here, and now it's really down to Di and I, the only permanent labour here, albeit we've got a bloke at each of the other places who can help here at times. But of course, when we have our boys are home on holidays from uni and school, we certainly, landmarking and those things, we coincide with that at those times. So we've got plenty of help then, but yes, permanent help is not like it used to be. This place 100 years ago would have probably had 50 or 60 people living here, and now there's 2.
I mean, you've been here for multiple generations. You have used Mumblebone genetics for 50 plus years. Why have you used Mumblebone for so long?
Well, when I came here to manage for my aunts, that was what they had here. So obviously that was okay by me, and since then I've just come to admire the way the sheep do and their traits, fertility, and now, as we said earlier, with the tailor's influence on carcass shape and type, they're doing the job. So I don't see why you'd want to change, but there's still work to be done here. But durability and the ability to do in hard times is vital here.
Yeah.
And that I should have mentioned when you asked why I'd stuck with Mumblebone. Well, that's partly it, because they do well here. They certainly. But bit by bit, I think we can improve our wool cut and maintain the other traits. So I think that's about what we're looking at.
Chad, just show me what you're looking for here, mate.
Oh well, this is the wool that we're looking to grow. These sheep are 10 months wool. They've got that much wool, whatever that equates to. Looks like about 90 mils already. Just long, bold crimping, soft, well aligned white wool, and good weights of it. Most of the time that this wool has been grown has been very dry, so there's little bit of dust penetration in the tip, but that looks to me like a really high yielding wool.
So, Di, how much rain?
Since these were shorn in August last year, they've probably had up to just the recent falls, maybe 4 inches of rain.
Yeah, so that's not a lot of rain, is it?
Doesn't sound
Definitely
like a lot in my language, no.
Normally they would have had 12, 13, 14 inches on them.
So that's the wool we're looking at.
And it's been pretty dry here. Since November was our last sort of decent fall, so they haven't, there's just been no growth in anything since during that time. So
and all that plus 90% lambing.
Yep.
Where's Jandra going to be in 20 years' time?
I don't really believe it's old people's country out here, but I won't be old in 20 years, but hopefully our boys, 1 or 2 or however, would want to live here and marry a woman who'd like to live here and be happy here. So I'd love to see in 20 years' time, perhaps the next generation getting into it here. Whether it's with exactly the same product, it'll have to be sheep of some sort, because that's the thing that does the best here. And I hope it's merino sheep and mumblebone merino sheep. But and I think there's a future for cattle if you can get more water. I can see a future there with cattle, and likewise with goats, bush goats.
With companies like Icebreaker, who make clothing that is DNA tested back to the station of origin in New Zealand and things like that, I think you live in such a unique part of Australia that's uninhabited and still wild, and I think there's a real story behind the products that you produce here.
I agree.
Is that part of could that be part of the 20-year?
Yeah, well, and I think I alluded to yesterday that what I think your question was there a future for merinos and wool? And as I said, if there's not, well, it seems very wrong, because what can be better than an animal walking around virgin country in big sparse areas, not really impacting on any particular part of the earth at once, and producing wool that we can wear for clothes, apparel, and meat that we can eat. And it's a very clean, green, warm, fuzzy way of feeding and clothing yourself, and a pretty good lifestyle to go with it. So I certainly think that's the marketing of that aspect. It will be a future.